Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today I want to present my presentation about critical appraisal and answer the German question. And the title of the journal is Cost Effectiveness Analysis of the Treatment with Compressive Therapy in the Healing of Venous Ulcers. For point A is yes, because the study calculated the cost per application for each technology such as Unabut, multilayer, and short stretch. And for point B, yes also because the alternative compare were multilayer bandage, Unabut, and short stretch bandage. And the viewpoint was used as health operators that mentioned in the journal. We don't know because the study compared multilayer bandage, unabut, and short stretch bandage, and notes that compressive therapy includes inelastic and elastic compression therapies. However, the text doesn't state that all other existing or important alternative. Point is no, because the text states that compressive therapy is the gold treatment for the treatment of venous ulcers. Since comparison is the gold standard, a do nothing approach is medically contraindicated and therefore not relevant to a comparison of effective treatment methods. Point A is no, because the study itself is a quantitative study. The study's anticipated assumption were obtained by using secondary literature data. Point B is yes, because the effectiveness data was derived from a systematic review with meta-analysis. The secondary data used to estimate effectiveness in elaboration of the were obtained from a systematic review of the rapid review type, a part of the main author PhD thesis. The meta-analysis included 12 randomized clinical trials. Point C is yes. The effectiveness data were estimated using anticipated assumption obtained by using secondary literature data. Point A is no. The range of costs considered was too narrow. As you can see there, only the direct costs. Point B, no. Only the health operators or third-party payer perspective was considered. Point C is a no, because only the direct costs. Point A is yes, the costs related to the professional workforce were omitted from summary. And as you can see, that's that, because the costing technique was macro costing. And point B is yes, also there were difficulties in measuring effectiveness data and cost data due to lack of local Brazilian studies, which necessitated the use of secondary and non-local data. Point A is yes, the search for the primary variables, cost and effectiveness were generally clearly identified. You can read by yourself. Like the value of effectiveness, cost item structure, willingness to pay, analysis perspective. And point B, also yes, market values, prices for materials and technologies were searched from official commercial guides like Brasendis, Video Pharma, and used to calculate the mean cost of application for each therapy. Point C is no, the study explicitly states that the costing technique was macro costing, which is why the costs related to the professional workforce were not considered. Point D is yes, the study aimed to analyze the cost effectiveness and calculate the ICER. Number 7.A is no. No discount or inflation rate was applied for cost and effectiveness in view of the analysis short-term horizon. And point B is yes, justification for not using a discount rate. Number 8 is yes, the study performed a cost effectiveness analysis that compared the incremental cost of different therapies to the incremental effectiveness probably of healing generated by those alternatives. Point A is yes, appropriate statistical analysis were performed for stochastic data through PSA using a 10,000 Monte Carlo simulation. Point B also yes, the model assumed that the probability of healing could vary between 0% and 100%. Point Z is yes, the study results were sensitive to change in value, particularly change in the VTP threshold, which was explored in the probabilistic sensitivity analysis. Point A is yes, the conclusion were heavily based on the ICER within the willingness to pay threshold of US dollar. As you can see, the total. Point B, also yes, the results were compared with those of other studies, and some allowance for difference were noted. Point C is yes, also the study discussed limitations regarding the generalizability of its findings, particularly concerning the context of the Brazilian health system. Point D is yes, the study took account of limitation by using macro costing, excluding professional workforce costs, and discussed the ethical need to balance cost and effectiveness. Point E is no, the study explicitly stated that a budget impact analysis was not possible. Okay, that's all from my presentation. I'm sorry if I had a mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.